Welcome to day 4 of 7 Days of Ancestral Wisdom. I'm Rebecca, the creator of Woosing Witch, and I hold the threshold between worlds as a sovereign guide through life's transitions and the liminal space between the living, the dead, and the divine. This transmission is created on the 16th of April. The resonance of what comes through is not limited to this day. Whenever these words find you, this message is for you, right now, in the moment that you are listening. Today, we have a Chiron Cazimi within the Aries stellium, bringing attention to wounds around identity, the I am. These are places where your right to exist as you are may have been shaped by conditions, where your expression became something that needed to be earned, justified, or adjusted in order for you to be received by others. Mars sextile Pluto brings a steady undercurrent of courage and a deeper willingness to move towards transformation. With the Aries dark moon, that movement is directed inwards, towards who you are becoming when you are no longer organizing yourself around these earlier conditioning. All of this takes place on a metal monkey stable day. The quality of pure young metal in the spring season does not settle easily, and what is considered to be stable can feel unsettled, as if something is being held in place that no longer sits naturally. And that tension is where today's story begins. Imagine a piece of metal ore, mined from the earth. In that raw state, it can become almost anything: a sword, a shield, a singing bowl, even a gong that holds ceremony. The potential is open, not yet committed to any single form. That ore is placed into a forge, heated, shaped, and given a function. It becomes an axe, and from that point on, it does what it was made to do. It goes into the forest, it cuts down trees, it clears the land, and it performs its role with consistency. From the outside, it looks purposeful, solid, stable. It knows what it's made for, and it delivers. But the ore never chose to be an axe. That decision was made by the blacksmith long before the axe entered the forest. It was shaped to meet a need that was not born of its innate desire, bent and formed to fit what was required of it. Over time, the repetition of that role settles in. The function is clear, the movement is familiar, and there's no interruption that would require it to question itself. And the work continues. There comes a point where the effort begins to change in quality. The axe still cuts, and the trees still fall, but something in the movement becomes heavier and duller than it once was. The repetition remains, but it moves away from purpose and closer to obligation. Nothing appears wrong from the outside. The role is still being fulfilled. The form is intact, and everything looks as it should: purposeful, solid, stable. And yet, something is being carried that does not fully belong to what the metal could have been. Now, what lives inside the story is not really about the axe. It's about what happens when you become something early on in your life and you keep being that version of yourself for so long that it starts to feel like that is just who you are. The raw ore is who you were before any of that happens, before you learned what was expected of you, and before you figured out how to fit into the spaces that you were in. And because the shape you took worked, it gave you a way to move through the world and be recognized. You stayed in it. You learned how to do it well, and you built your life around it. But there comes a point where it starts to feel different. You can still do it. You can still show up in the same way. And from the outside, everything looks the same: purposeful, solid, stable. but it takes more effort than it used to. What once felt natural starts to feel like something you have to put in more effort to maintain, to keep up, and you don't quite know how to get out of it. And this is what self-abandonment looks like in the yang metal frequency. You continue to hold on to the version of you that no longer fits. You rigidly maintain the status quo because it's familiar and because it seems to work for everybody. The longer you hold on, the harder it becomes to recognize that something more true to you is trying to come through. What is being illuminated today is who you were before you learned to become who you are now. And what is available to you is to recognize the version of you that you are holding on to and allowing yourself to question whether it's a true expression of you. The fire that is present right now creates momentum for change. Release the form you have been holding on to. Put yourself in the forge so you may begin to reshape your destiny. Stability is not about continuing in the same way as you have always been. It comes from staying connected to the truth of who you are, so that when everything shifts around you, you will always remain grounded on the path and purpose of your choosing. Sit with this today. Where are you still being who you had to be instead of who you truly are? What are you continuing out of habit? And what would happen if you stopped? You have been living with a form that was given to you, and you learned how to do it well. But that does not make it yours. The fire is here, and the forge is open. Are you willing to release the form that you're in? The potential you began with has not gone anywhere. It's still here within you. And when you allow yourself to step out of what you have been holding on to, it becomes possible for something more true to you to take shape.